I personally have observed that many management companies can keep it together owning up to like 500 doors, right? It's easy. Well, I don't want to say it's easy, but a generally competent person could operate that company. They hire somebody to answer phones. They got a maintenance staff. They got some people on payroll, and they could competently manage up to 500 properties. And then when you start to notice managers that are more remarkable, that can get up to 1,000 or more and not have a drop off in the quality of service. And then, of course, you've got these nationwide behemoths like Greystar, thousands and thousands of units with giant offices in every major metro. And, I think they're publicly traded. They should be, right? That's obviously an excellent company that knows how to manage properties. But if you're, an entry-level investor and you're thinking about hiring a property manager, I think it's important to understand how many doors they manage, right? How and what staff do they have on tap? We met a property manager recently in Mesa, if you remember. He's just him and his dad. They manage about 300 properties, and their philosophy is we're not getting any bigger. And their clients love them because it's two very competent guys who are well paid, right? So when an investor calls and is mad or upset about something, they get the full attention of somebody that is on the ball. And by the time that phone call is over, the investor is happy, they're satisfied, they get it. And these guys believe that if we go bigger than that, we're just not going to be able to provide the quality of service, right? So we're very selective on what we take. So that's a challenge that in the build for rent space, who's going to be your property manager?
Well, one other thing, because you just said, once they get off the phone with the investor, they've usually calmed that investor down. Even with a tenant, you want to make sure that whoever your property manager is can have good communication with the tenant as well, because that's key in either keeping that tenant. I just think it makes it an easier process if you have somebody that will communicate.
And finding a property manager that really cares, which can be tough, because if you think about it, why don't people get into property management? Well, it's a tough job. You got people, tenants, a lot of complaints, a lot of negativity, and that care that they once had, their personality could change a little bit or shift. And so if you can find someone that really cares about doing a good job and being efficient and providing value, not only to the investor, but also to the tenant, that's huge.
Yeah, it's true. When you fly somewhere and you check your baggage and you get off the plane, you go down to baggage claim, and all the airlines have those offices down at baggage claim. And that poor agent is sitting back there behind the Southwest counter. That's real estate's version. Okay, property managers, they are that. Usually when somebody's coming through the door, it's not to say, hey, my property is rented and it's doing really well and I'm so happy, right? Mm-hmm. And same goes for tenants. Yeah. When a tenant calls a property manager, something is wrong. They're not calling to say, what's your address? I have a Christmas card for you, right? Something is broken. And so it takes a unique person that's willing to absorb that and deal with that day in and day out. And I think that's why it's hard to scale, right? Is because oftentimes getting above the ownership of the property management company, those people just simply aren't motivated or not paid enough to be willing to deal with that day in and day out. So it's key.
It takes a unique personality, in my opinion, someone that has a thick enough skin to be able to lease it up, rent it up, provide the service the investor's looking for, talk to a tenant how they should be talked to. Sometimes it needs to be a little bit firm. Sometimes it needs to be nice and respectful. But it takes the right personality, which isn't always easy to find.
Yeah.
Thick skin, but also someone that cares and that really cares about that tenant or the investor.
I think we can all agree that property management is not something we want to get into anytime soon. So it is a thankless job in the sense that they're the whipping boy. They're the ones that they hear all of the crap. So it is tough, but you want to get someone, like Chase said, that has thick skin and a backbone, but that can also have that soft part of them.